Welcome to a new episode of The Simpsons Did It. I'm your host, Steven Skolansky.
And I'm your co-host, Robert Skolansky.
And today we're going to be talking about our favorite cat and mouse duo. And I'm talking about Tom and Jerry. No, wait.
Yeah.
No.
No, it's not Tom and Jerry? Is it Garfield? Is there a mouse that goes with Garfield?
There is. I don't remember his name, but he's like the little squeaky guy who always walks into the room, and Garfield never wants to catch him because he like always sits there and no, it's not Garfield and the mouse, whatever his name is. It's Itchy and Scratchy.
They fight.
They fight.
And fight.
Exactly. Now, for those of you that don't know, because I think we went over this before on a podcast when like Itchy and Scratchy first like made their first appearance.
Yeah.
But for the record straight, let's just make sure people know Itchy is the mouse.
Yep.
And Scratchy is the cat.
Yep.
So just want to make sure everyone is on the same page, because I know some people just don't remember or don't think about it.
I could never remember, to be honest.
Exactly. Yeah. So I just want to make sure everyone throughout this episode, we get the animal roles.
There you go.
Correct.
They're animals.
Animal roles.
All right. Air date was December 20th, 1990.
That's right. And little recap here. Actually, so I think, just to let everyone know, I think this was the last episode for 1990.
Yeah, I believe it was.
Because the next week was New Year's and they don't order. So
yep.
This is the last episode for 1990. Okay, so quick recap. Marge protests over cartoon violence lead to a cultural renaissance in Springfield. Mostly for the kids, but...
Yeah. Chalkboard gag this week. I will not pledge allegiance to Bart. I will pledge allegiance to Bart.
He is like a god to little kids everywhere.
I'm assuming they were doing the Pledge of Allegiance, and instead of saying I pledge allegiance to the flag, he said I pledge allegiance to Bart.
Yep. I mean, I would hang Bart from a flagpole, and
I'm assuming they make Bart flags.
Oh, I'm sure they do. Now, the only person I've ever seen run up a flagpole in The Simpsons, I think, so far was Milhouse.
Yes.
And I don't know if Bart being pranked by Nelson and them was ever run up a flagpole. So we'll keep an eye out for that. But I know Milhouse for sure was run up a flagpole.
Yeah.
All right. So the couch gag. Simpsons run in to find their couch gone.
Who stole their couch?
There was a theft. Well, it could have been Grandpa, because he got upset that he got woken up the last episode
so Grandpa
on the couch.
Grandpa just steals it, yeah.
He stole the couch. He's like, you guys woke me up stealing your couch. But it was kind of funny how they all stood around and looked around like, where did it go? Our couch is gone.
Yeah. So
all right, so we open up the episode.
Yeah, we do.
And Marge is making her very favorite dish for Homer, pork chops.
With care.
I mean, she's using like every ingredient on the planet on these things. I don't know if you need, I mean, I don't eat pork.
No, I don't eat pork either.
So I don't know if it tastes that bad that you have to, throw all those spices on it.
I gotta imagine it's kind of like cooking a steak. Like,
yeah, but
you want flavors.
Throw a steak on the grill. They do, but they maybe salt and pepper is what most people put on steaks.
That's usually what I do. But some people marinate steaks, and I'm assuming you still got to put flavor with the pork. I mean, I'm assuming you could cook the pork without flavor and taste just fine, but you still got to add the flavor to the meat.
Exactly. So Homer, sees Marge using all the ingredients, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to do something nice for you. I'm going to make you a spice rack.
Oh,
and so
that's sweet. Have you ever tried to build a spice rack?
I have not. And at least the way Homer was supposed to be building it looked relatively easy.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
Yep. So Homer makes the spike rack for Marge with tools he never uses. He's like, there's something, I have all these tools in my garage. I might as well use them for something good. And so we kind of cut to, after Homer heads out, we cut to our first Itchy and Scratchy episode of the episode. And it's entitled Hold That Feline, which is Itchy and Scratchy playing football. Scratchy goes down for a pass, and instead of a ball, he gets dynamite. Oh, no. Was it dynamite? He gets exploded. Yep.
Yeah, that's the football one where
and then he gets tackled
the football's a dynamite.
Yep, and then he gets tackled by all the other players again because insult to injury.
Yeah.
So then we cut back to the garage, and Homer has a lot of how-to books, an entire shelf of them.
I love the fact that one of the how-to books is how to make a Trojan horse. What are we in the Roman times?
Just in case. Maybe he needs to sneak into the Flanders for something.
Yeah. I don't know.
If you guys notice very closely, Homer's hammer still has a price tag on it.
Because he never uses it. He bought it and he never used it.
I kind of want to wait for the first episode where all the stuff says property of Flanders on it. Because it seems like Homer has enough tools and stuff in his garage that he never uses. So I don't know why he'd have to borrow something from Ned. But yeah, it'll be, I can't wait to actually see the episode where all of Ned Flanders' property winds up in Homer's house.
Yeah.
And so he builds the spice rack really, really, really badly.
I love the picture in the book. It's like all nice and it's a cute spice rack, and then you look at Homer's, but Homer is proud of it.
Oh, I mean, he built something for the very first time. I guess when you're making something that you've never made before and you're kind of following directions. Homer even said, it's harder than he thought it was. Yeah. But it turns out, I mean, that's kind of the nice thing. Marge, we'll mention later in the episode, Marge is actually using it, so she liked the gift. She liked that he, expressed interest in what she does.
Yeah.
And he's proud of it, even though it looked horrible.
So afterwards, so by the way, when Homer enters the garage, you see stairs. And after Homer makes his spice rack, Maggie is on those stairs with a mallet, hits Homer in the head. Homer falls down, pulls a curtain, I guess. Maybe that hides like tools or whatever, and spills paint. And it's in reference to Psycho, which is an excellent movie. But as we mentioned, why are there stairs? Like, is there an upstairs in their garage?
No, that's the weird part. Like, when Homer walks into the garage from the kitchen, when we see him leave, he walks straight into the kitchen. You see the door swing open.
Yeah, but you see the stairs, though.
Yeah,
I went back.
But where are the stairs going? They don't
to the upstairs of the garage, the attic. No, because the attic is upstairs.
Exactly.
Do they have a tiny attic in their garage?
Okay. All right. Actually, so I'm taking a look at my Simpsons house, my Lego Simpson house, and so you take off the roof. There's nothing technically upstairs in the Lego house, but there is a window above the garage door.
So there's a room up there.
Maybe. So, I mean, it would be tall enough for their room to be up there. So I wonder. So we're going to go back on our next episode when we either watch the intro or next time we see an exterior of the Simpson house. We'll take a look to see if there is that window. I guess I don't know why they put it on the Lego Simpson house if there wasn't really one there. So
yeah,
I guess we'll take a quick peek at that and see if there really is. But I mean, I've seen a lot of houses with rooms upstairs in garages. The stairs usually aren't necessarily in the garage.
No, not really.
I mean that now. Well, okay. So how many times have we seen Homer run into the garage or Bart? At the beginning.
And I've never seen stairs.
I've never seen stairs, and maybe in the future episodes, Homer actually does hang out in the garage quite a bit. So we're gonna see if this was just a movie moment type, the Psycho movie moment type thing that they just put in and maybe forgot about in the future. But I do like that there is a consistency to the Psycho theme song throughout the entire episode. Whenever Maggie tries to attack Homer,
oh yeah.
So it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So next up, we have the next Itchy and Scratchy episode, Kitchen Cut-Ups. And it's just Itchy and Scratchy hitting each other with mallets.
Yeah. That's kind of funny. And then they go to the kitchen and Itchy has Scratchy like tied down to a table and he's trying to stab him. And while they're watching Maggie, because like Marge is like, I don't know where Maggie gets this. And they're watching it and Maggie grabs a pencil and comes at Homer with a stabby motion and he freaks out, which I mean, what is that?
The psycho stabby. The psycho stabby. Oh, psycho noise. I don't know how to make it.
That is terrible. Never do that again.
It's close enough.
No, it's not.
Close enough. Okay, so Marge sees it and picks Maggie up, and she's still doing the stabbing motion with the pencil. But I love the fact that Marge is like, oh, this is where she's getting it. And we've seen in episodes past where they just let Maggie roam around the house. I feel like Marge and Homer are just being horrible parents.
Yeah, I love the fact that after Marge is like, I'm taking your cartoons away, Lisa goes, but Mom, if you take our cartoons away, we'll grow up without a sense of humor and be robots. I love Bart's reaction. Really? What kind of robots?
I know.
Humorless robots, Bart. That's who you're going to be. Because you can't watch cartoons.
Yep. I mean, once again, we'll probably get to this throughout the episode, even at the end of the episode, but parents really need to be in charge of what their kids watch.
Our parents let us watch The Simpsons, but we both had friends whose parents wouldn't let them watch The Simpsons or other, like, I even remember when South Park started on air, Mom would let you watch it, but I got dragged out of the room because she didn't think it was appropriate for me. Which, to be fair, they came out in 97, 98, so I was 11 years old when it came out. Probably not quite age appropriate for me.
No, but Bart and Lisa are 8 and 10, and they get to watch Itchy and Scratchy and have been watching it daily.
That's true.
But
maybe they shouldn't have been.
Yes. And so that's, and whenever you see Bart and Lisa doing anything, a lot of the times, especially watching TV, Marge and Homer are nowhere to be found. I
do like the other thing though is Maggie is what, a year old? Let's just say a year old. Is she really picking up stuff on television? Like, I don't know. You have a 2-year-old. Does he imitate stuff on television yet?
No. He really doesn't. We don't show, to be fair though, we don't show him violent anything.
You show him cartoons though.
But nothing violent.
That's true.
Now some of the stuff that he doesn't necessarily, let's say, imitate, but we'll show him a documentary about sharks, and sharks will be eating fish.
Yeah.
And he'll sometimes go over to our fish tank and say, "Shark eat fish," or
but he's also 2. He's not 1.
So he's putting stuff together as a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
And still learning stuff, but we don't show him Itchy and Scratchy or really anything violent. Some of the stuff is still scared. Like the biggest example is Finding Nemo at the beginning when the mom gets eaten. He's scared of that scene. He likes Finding Nemo pretty much the rest of the way through, but
he can't handle the mom getting eaten by the shark.
Well, yes, Disney for you.
Disney.
But that's. As a 1-year-old, no. As a 1-year-old, did we let my kid watch TV? No, he was not. Maybe sports. That was probably really about it that he was physically in front of the TV for.
Yeah.
But other than that, at 1, he wasn't watching anything on TV.
Although, to be fair, he's pretty good with a hockey stick.
Oh, he is, because I let him watch hockey. So.
See? So maybe.
Oh, he is a little bit impressionable.
Yeah.
You're right. Because I'll tell you this: before he watched hockey, he was holding the stick wrong and doing stuff wrong. To be completely honest, I didn't really show him. And the one time I did try to show him how to hold a hockey stick, he was like, no. And I was like, okay, fine, do what you want.
Yeah.
Watch some hockey on TV. I swear, a week later, he's holding the hockey stick correctly and hitting it.
So I guess maybe 1-year-old brains are impressionable.
Yeah, so maybe a little bit.
So after that exchange, we cut to the schoolyard, and Milhouse and Nelson feel really bad for Bart because, he can't watch Itchy and Scratchy, which I felt bad for my friends when they couldn't watch episodes of shows that I liked, even though they never really saw it. But so Milhouse suggests watching Itchy and Scratchy at his house, which I think I had friends over who weren't allowed to watch like The Simpsons or other cartoons, and we watched it at our house.
Oh, yeah. Same with Ben. Ben always did that a lot, too. He would always come over to our house and watch The Simpsons. And, it'd be funny. I'd be over there for a sleepover. And like, oh, The Simpsons are on in bed. Like, I can't watch The Simpsons. What are you, crazy?
Oh, yeah. It was the same thing when I went over to my buddy Joey's house. Like, oh, let's watch The Simpsons. I can't watch The Simpsons. But the funny thing is, he wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons, but we are allowed to play violent video games.
See, that's so weird. And But that's
like,
kind of the theme throughout this entire episode. It's like you're either taking one from something else and replacing it with another thing. There's always some sort of violence coming in unless your parents are 100%, it's
yeah.
or make good choices, because even our parents, at least for me, let me listen to Green Day and Blink 182 and stuff at 10. And
Yeah, I didn't really. I mean, the only time I ever listened to that stuff was when you were listening to it. I do remember a time where I don't know if you still listen to Eminem, but you did listen to Eminem a little bit growing up.
oh, I did in middle school, absolutely.
And I remember you played it one day, and I was, we were hanging out listening to it, and I think our mom was home, and she yelled at you to turn it off and never play it again.
Probably, but
well, I think it was because I was in the room.
Yes. So if parents are allowing it now, I never really started my swearing streak until I was definitely older, and I didn't really swear in front of our parents. I was able to keep it in check. Now I can't. But
oh yeah, well, I think the first time I ever swore in front of our parents, I think I was like 12 or 13.
That'd be my fault, maybe.
Okay. You think?
All right, so let's get back on track here. Yeah. So they're going over to their respective friends' houses to watch it, and it's working out. And I like how Bart and Lisa lie to their mom and dad, or Marge and Homer. Oh, we're going over to Janie's to study, and Millhouse. Bart's like, we're going over to Millhouse to watch birds.
No, to play baseball. I thought.
Oh, it was Lisa watching birds. One of them was watching birds.
No, that was later on.
Yes. Oh, am I skipping ahead a little bit?
You're skipping ahead. So okay. I do like the fact that Homer calls into work because he got hit by Maggie, and the supervisor doesn't believe him. It's the worst excuse you've ever had. And Homer's like, I don't think it's the worst.
Yeah, I like it. You heard me. I won't be in for the rest of the week. Then he's like, I told you, my baby beat me up.
I mean,
it's not the worst excuse I've ever thought of.
To be fair, I don't think Homer should have used that excuse.
I mean, that's for ridicule when you...
Although, to be fair, later on, we do see fathers who've gotten beaten up by their babies. So...
Yep. And so Marge, watches next episode, and is, Homer sitting on the couch, resting. They watch an episode, Messenger of Death.
Yep.
Itchy just shoots Scratchy in the face with a bazooka gun. And I like how she's just taking notes on this. And Homer's in the background. He's like, some of these stories are pretty good. I never knew mice lived such interesting lives.
Blowing up cats.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty interesting, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of goes back to kind of our joke at the beginning of the episode when I said Tom and Jerry, because a lot of this stuff is it's basically Tom and Jerry, and this stuff is from the 60s.
But
so
I would say more violent than Tom and Jerry.
I don't know, man. Jerry crashing Scratchy's head with an anvil. I feel like, I know Scratchy's used dynamite a few times here and there.
But did Jerry really use I mean, he used kitchen knives.
Jerry used dynamite, kitchen knives, hatchets. Oh yeah, I mean it was. I would say almost. I mean maybe not as violent because they didn't, rip Scratchy's blood or Tom's guts out and display him everywhere. There was no blood. Okay, so let's say there was no blood or disemboweling from Tom and Jerry, and that's why this has a little bit of a leg up. But overall, same theory. So you're talking 60s and 70s, and 90s, and I mean our parents seem to grow up fine watching Daffy Duck, get his beak blown off by Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd.
I'd like to point out
again.
Though the Looney Tunes, and I feel like for us when we watched it, and I don't think our parents ever really said, "Oh yeah, this is fake." I think we just came to that conclusion on our own. It's like it's so outlandish. It's like it's animals, beating each other up that I know. Like I would never imitate Looney Tunes. I mean, I might to a certain degree. But not like in a way where I'd hurt anybody.
Violent.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't be violent about it. But I also understood that it was a cartoon and it was fake.
Yes, and that's where a lot of parents need to, at least if they're going to allow their kids to watch it, let them know, hey, this is a cartoon. If you're thinking your kid might act out, just letting them know, hey, this is fake. Whatever.
Yeah.
So Marge watches the next episode, which is unnamed.
Yeah.
Dynamite for eyes, blows his head up. And then Marge's like, what kind of warped human being would find that funny?
And
then Homer's
laughs.
in the background just laughing.
I mean, to be fair, it's funny.
It is funny. That's the joke. So Marge's list of complaints is hilarious. She writes, cats blown up 3 times, mice launched 1. Now, I saw that. I'm like, mice launched? Did Scratchy win one that we didn't get to see?
Maybe every like 20 episodes, Scratchy wins once, but we never get to see it.
I know, it's so, except for that one, remember the one episode where it's like, this is the episode where Scratchy finally gets itchy. And then they unplug the TV.
Oh, yeah. I do remember that.
And then there's Dogs Tricked, too. Now,
we never seen...
Poochie isn't around yet, so I don't know what dog he's talking about.
Yeah.
And then Gopher's buried alive, too.
Can you really... But here's the thing. Can you really bury a gopher alive? Because don't they kind of live underground?
They do.
So you really can't bury a gopher under alive.
Exactly. And then there's Eyes Knocked Out, 3.
Okay.
Reasonable.
Yep.
Disembowelings, 2.
Reasonable.
Yep. And Brains Slammed in Car Door.
1.
I know. So this must have been one where like they're driving and Itchy like slams or maybe cuts Itchy's like cap off, like his head, top of his head off. His brain flops out and then Scratchy just starts slamming it in the door.
Maybe. So Marge decides she's going to write a letter from the mind of Marge, and the first person we see with a letter. So they're doing like the voiceover where Marge is reading it or like writing it, but reading it out loud. And Krusty just has the piece of paper and he's turning it because Krusty's illiterate. Why exactly. Krusty would get it though? I feel like if you're going to send a letter to a studio head or to a studio, you're going to send it to the studio head. You're not going to send it to the guy on TV, the animator, and the studio head. You're going to write one letter, I feel like.
Exactly. I thought it was so weird that Krusty and Roger Myers both got one. So if you guys want to know, so the letter read, Dear purveyors of senseless violence, I know this may sound silly at first, but I believe that the cartoons you show on to our children are influencing their behavior in a negative way. Please try to tone down the psychotic violence in your otherwise fine programming. Yours truly, Marge Simpson. Now,
so
apparently she thinks the rest of the Krusty the Clown show is good. It's fine. So apparently Sideshow Bob getting shot out of a cannon, perfectly fine. Scratchy being shot out of a cannon,
not fine.
Not fine.
This is also our first appearance of Roger Myers, the studio head that does the Krusty the Clown show. So that's kind of neat. We'll see him a few more times. What was that?
Yep, I like how he has his own, like, I don't know if it's necessarily attached to the Krusty Land Studios, but it's his own building in Itchy and Scratchy International, which is kind of funny. I figured it would be in the same building.
So so he writes a letter back, calls Marge a screwball. He's like, "Oh, what can one screwball do?" And Marge is like, "All right, I'm going to start protesting."
I'll show you what one screwball could do.
I don't think it's a good idea to call somebody a screwball when they write you a letter. And it seems that the letter that Marge wrote was perfectly professional. Like, she didn't call any names. She's like, stop the violence or tone down the violence.
Exactly. Now, this is our second instance on The Simpsons where a character writes a letter. Okay. And we had Ned Flanders during the putting episode. This one from Marge, and her stationery reads, From the Mind of Marge. And I've been skipping ahead a little bit. This is not our last memo pad that has a header. So Marge starts a protest, and Marge's sign says, I'm protesting because Itchy and Scratchy are indirectly responsible for my husband being hit on the head with a mallet.
Indirectly. So there's your first mistake. It's your fault. And when we were talking about this episode, before we started the podcast, this episode reminds me so much of the South Park movie where the kids go to see a profanity-laced movie and the parents blame Canada instead of blaming themselves. And this reminds me so much of this because Homer and Marge can control what Bart and Lisa watch. The parents can control what their kids watch. There's, child locks for TV, what is it called?
Well, it's just parental control.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've set up enough like Roku devices and Amazon Fire Sticks and stuff like that where it's a 4-digit code. You can enter it in to let your kids watch what you want, and you could, say they're not allowed to watch anything under TV 13 or TV PG or whatever. So that way,
So Maggie's there, and she has a sign. Clearly, she didn't write this. Stop me before I kill my father again.
And obviously, she didn't kill her father.
Yes, she tried. But she tried twice.
Yep,
that we know
twice.
of.
And Bart and Lisa have ban Itchy and Scratchy signs, but then just after that, Bart writes the word don't ban Itchy and Scratchy.
Because it's his favorite show.
Exactly. He doesn't want to ban it.
And Homer's sign says, please ban violent cartoons. Next time I might not be so lucky. There's not correlation there. I guess there is, because if Maggie sees it, then she's going to try. My question is, why does Maggie target Homer?
Well, he's the one in the room, I guess.
No, she went out of her way. She went out of her way to attack Homer in the garage.
She secretly hates him.
Clearly.
It's kind of like Stewie and Lois. Maybe Maggie has this thing against Homer.
Maybe.
Could be. We don't know.
Nope.
So then Reverend Lovejoy's wife shows up and says, what are you guys doing? Oh, we're, trying to get Itchy and Scratchy changed. And she's like, oh, we got our protest. SNUH.
Springfieldians for Nonviolence, Understanding, and Helping.
Yep. SNUH.
SNUH. That's not a good acronym.
No. I don't think Marge took much work into creating that.
No. So this is where Bart and Lisa lie to Marge about going to their friends' houses to do other activities, which they can't watch Itchy and Scratchy at their own house, so they're going to lie about, oh yeah, Milhouse and I, we're going to go play catch. And Lisa was like, Janie and I are going to, enjoy time because life is fleeting. And Marge is like, okay, have fun, kids.
And the funny thing about it is Marge and Homer are at the protest. They could have went home and watched it.
Maybe they can track what they watch, but probably not, because it's the 90s. Yep, maybe, but here's the thing. Maybe Marge knows what time it is, and so she knows this is the time that Krusty the Clown is on. So if they had said, oh yeah, we're going home, she would get suspicious and go home to catch them.
So now the protest gets a little bit larger, and we see a few more signs. Mo has one that says, bring back wagon train.
I have no idea. I just thought it was funny.
I thought it was like the bandwagon, like, maybe not like the wagon train. It's a bandwagon. He's joining the bandwagon.
I have no idea.
Maybe
it's a TV show that aired sometime.
Maybe. And then there's another sign. I didn't put it in our notes, but it's what if they blew up a cat and nobody laughed?
Oh yeah, I did see that.
That was another sign in the crowd.
Yeah.
So now we see they went to go to the Krusty the Clown show just to boo them. I don't know what studio would allow a group of protesters into the audience.
I mean, they can control who comes in.
Exactly. Like, I don't know why you would say, yeah, sure, come in and protest and boo, because we know you're going to do that.
So to backtrack just a second, Wagon Train was a 1957 TV show about adventures of a wagon train traveling from Missouri to California.
Must have aired on that network that Krusty is on.
Maybe. NBC and ABC.
All right.
So
I did skip one thing. So TV dinners are still bad.
Oh yeah. And Homer's like, I got to be married to Jane Fonda, because Jane Fonda was actually known to do a lot of protesting.
Yep. That's a pretty good reference they threw in.
Yeah.
So once again, just another reference that the writers and the older people on staff probably knew and thought was funny. And
now it's so dated.
I know, but I would like to actually think what the writers and the studio was thinking for age demographic. Like, was it that 18 to 49 that they were shooting for?
I mean,
Or
Fonda's how old? I
I
think
think she's
she's
got,
still
well,
alive,
now
right?
she, yeah, I think now she's probably in her 70s or 80s, maybe. But I feel like the demographic is so widespread for this show, and just to throw some of the moments in there that
Well,
only
when
the
this
grown.
episode aired, she had just turned, well, she was just about to turn 63 years old.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with their demographic was not teenagers and kids.
No, but if you look at it like Finding Nemo or any Disney movie, they always throw adult references in that the
Oh,
kids don't get.
absolutely.
So that was probably what they were going for in this instance.
So
But it,
after they appear on the SNA appears on Krusty the Clown, they the animators like, or I'm sorry, Roger Myers wanted to like insert margin, and the animators like, how do I do that? And so Itchy and Scratchy are hitting each other with mallets, and we get Screwball Marge, who is a squirrel, to come in and break it up. And then don't they like
they both hit her head with a baseball bat
yeah,
like a home run.
and
Which
that
that was Marge's last straw. That
yep.
was before that we just forgot to mention. So
Oh.
this was the first appearance of Corporal Punishment.
I think it's the only appearance of Corporal Punishment. Also, this is the first appearance of Sideshow Mel. He doesn't speak or anything. He blows the whistle, but this is his first appearance.
Yep. So Marge gets really upset and decides to go on Smartline.
Yep.
And Ken Brockman's like, "Hello, I'm Ken Brockman, and welcome to another edition of Smartline. Are cartoons too violent for children?" Most people would say, "No, of course not. What kind of stupid question is that?" But one woman says yes.
And we have her here right now.
Marge Simpson.
Oh,
And
man.
so, I mean, it's just funny how no one except a mother
Marge.
that wants to protect her kids, that once again doesn't stop her kid from watching it because she lets Maggie literally run around the house freewheeling.
Yep. I do like that they got Dr. Marvin Monroe, where he's in Vienna, which is the home of Sigmund Freud. He wasn't born there, but that's kind of where he made his name. There's a university there. So,
but I like how he's
Dr.
going
Marvin
on like
Monroe.
sabbatical or something.
Yeah.
I like how he's going on like sabbatical or something, like just all over the world.
Yeah.
They kind of talk to Roger Myers and they talk to Marge and talk to Marvin Monroe. Marvin Monroe's like, "Dude, I curl up with a bucket of popcorn and watch Itchy and Scratchy.
Yeah.
I don't know what your guys' problem is."
I do like Roger Myers' debate point was the Crusades happened before violence on TV. There's always been violence, and I kind of actually use that argument when people say, "Oh, kids shouldn't be playing violent video games." We've had violence for as long as humans been on the earth. Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, you watch it on the news, but that's kind of the funny thing. Like, people are so afraid of video games and TV shows causing violence, where if you sit at 6 o'clock and watch the news with your kids, they're going to see some violence on the TV anyway.
Yeah, I do.
Unless you're...
It's so funny when they go to Krusty. They're like, "Krusty, your thoughts," and he just goes insane in front of the camera. He's like, "I can't help it. When there's a camera on me, I gotta act."
Yeah, he's an entertainer.
And I don't know why they had Krusty the Clown on there anyways. He just airs the episode. Like, why are they involving Krusty the Clown? It's the only part of this episode I don't get. They send him a letter. They bring him on Smartline. What is the point?
He's not the guy you want.
He's just the entertainer.
Yep. So Roger Myers and team gets a mountain of hate mail. I mean,
some of it's really wrong, man.
Really crazy hate mail, man.
Yeah.
So one other thing that we forgot to mention about SNA is they do have a rally cry when they're out protesting. It's substantially less violence in children's programming. That's their chant.
That sounds terrible.
So they don't care about. So they just want less violence.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable request.
Yeah, I mean, just not as much. Maybe they were like, you know what? We've seen the Looney Tunes. Yeah, they blow stuff up and are violent, but no one's bloody and gory or anything. Let's tone it down to Looney Tunes level instead of this. Yeah. Maybe that's what they were just going for.
So we go back to the Simpsons' house, and as you mentioned before, Marge hung up Homer's horrible spice rack, and it is
Yes.
god awful. Now, my question is, how long does it stay there through the seasons?
I'm guessing it falls off the wall after this episode, and then that's the only thing I can think. We'll keep an eye out in their kitchen to see if it stays. But I
Yeah,
mean, spices are falling out of it.
yeah. So
So we
Homer
go
and the
back to the
kids.
TV.
Yep.
They're all sitting in front of the TV, ready for Marge's, refreshed or rebooted Itchy and
Well, no,
Scratchy.
they were watching an infomercial about a
Yes,
power tool that can do
beforehand.
all this stuff, and obviously Homer wants it. And she switches the TV to Krusty the Clown, and the kids are like, "Oh, we can watch
All
cartoons
right.
again." She's like, "Yeah, yeah, you can," because Roger Myers and team was like, "Okay, we're gonna tone down the violence," and we get Itchy and Scratchy porch pals, and this is the creepiest thing I have probably ever witnessed in my life because their voices are like higher
Yep.
pitched, and it's just so creepy.
And they're not supposed to talk. So Scratchy's
No,
like, lemonade,
exactly. That's how it sounds. It's so creepy.
please.
It's perfect for
I
Halloween.
made
Don't get
it
me wrong.
just
God,
I
stop it.
made it just for you.
It's so creepy.
You are my best friend.
It's so creepy.
This really hits the spot.
So
Doesn't
bad.
it though?
And
You make really good lemonade, Scratchy.
so
Thank
creepy.
you, Itchy.
So creepy. And then Maggie brings Homer a cup of lemonade, but before he takes it, he freaks out because Maggie's tried to kill him numerous times this episode. But then he takes the lemonade.
Yep, exactly. So obviously, I think the point was just to say, you know what? Kids can be influenced by TV. Should you
Yeah.
let them watch everything?
No.
But kids can be influenced, which is kind of what they're showing in the
Yeah.
episode.
So all the kids of Springfield are like, all right, this is horrible. Turn off the TVs, head out in the world. We get a montage of kids doing things. Nelson apparently is whitewashing a fence. I missed that part of the montage.
Yeah, he's like Tom Sawyer. He's in the
Eh.
overalls with the button down, and his friends come up and all start whitewashing a fence, which was pretty funny.
And they're sitting around the dinner table, and Bart's like, "Oh yeah, we went fishing, and we almost caught a fish this big." And Lisa and Janie went bird watching. This is where they did that.
That's where they did that. Yep. And I like how the continuation of Bart liking to fish is still present in canon.
Yeah. Well, he's not gonna stop.
Exactly. So now we get David from
Statue.
Italy.
Michelangelo's David.
Statue is going on a coast-to-coast tour of the USA. New York, Springfield, and if there's time, Chicago, Boston, and LA.
Why
I wouldn't necessarily call that. I know. Right?
Well, coast to coast, you go from New York to LA, but the fact that they say if there's time, then it's not really coast to coast.
Yes. Well, okay, you start in New York and in LA. That's technically coast to coast.
But they said if there's time, Chicago, Boston, LA.
So where? Okay, so now once again we pose the question: where the hell is Springfield?
Is Springfield on the West Coast now? Because it's got to be. But then you wouldn't go to New York, then to Springfield, then to the Midwest, and then to Boston, then LA. You'd go
exactly.
You go New York, Boston, Chicago, LA.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's crazy.
Yep, and so the Springfielders that hated Itchy and Scratchy come to Marge's door and are like, "Hey, we got to protest David coming to Springfield." And Marge is soft on full frontal.
It's a statue. It's art.
Yes, it is. And I've been to Italy, and I actually got to see David firsthand.
Oh, jealous.
It was pretty cool.
Jealous.
Now it is to be fair. This is not just a statue in the middle of a museum. This thing is like plexiglassed off, and it's really protected at the museum. I mean, it's kind of cool just to be able to see it and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not one of those statues in a museum where you get to go up. You would obviously never touch a statue in a museum, but it's not one that you could physically walk up to. And
was it wearing pants?
It was not wearing pants like in The Simpsons.
So they take a picture of it, and to cover up, the bottom half of David, they gave it pants.
But I also like that in one of the shots, David had arms, which David does not have arms. Which I thought was really weird. Yeah. Oh, it's on Smartline. So on the picture on Smartline, the photo showed David with arms and pants.
Weird. So They do another episode of Smartline, and Marge is like, actually, I have no problem with this. And Kent Brockman's, all right, well, next on Smartline, which religion is the one true faith? Now, I have to say something because this is TV related. Kent mentions to the affiliates that they are ending early. So my question is Smartline A, live? It has to be. And B, is Springfield a national hub? Because here's the thing. When I work in television, when the 5:30 rolls around, at almost every station except for the local Fox affiliate up here, because they have an hour from 5 to 6, does a national news segment. Now, obviously, this is a talk show, so would you really end early? I don't know.
I mean, cut to a new episode of Itchy and Scratchy now that Marge, got shut down.
Like,
I don't know. It's really weird.
It's Springfield. Who knows?
And being in TV, I don't think you'd ever have a segment on your news program for which religion is the right.
No, but I will say, one of the TV stations I worked for in Madison, they actually do a talking head segment for politics. Now, obviously, they bring somebody from both sides, and that usually is timed out. If it ends early, that's not a problem because you have other things to fill time with. With this, it seems to me that it's a national show. So if you're ending early, that's not necessarily a good thing unless you're on one of those 24-hour news networks.
Yep. Now, one thing I did have to point out before we go to the last part of the episode. So when Reverend Lovejoy's Helen Lovejoy comes to the door, Marge's like, "That's Michelangelo's David. It's a masterpiece." Helen Lovejoy, "It's filth. It graphically portrays parts of the human body which, practical as they may be, are evil."
So you can't have practical and evil.
No,
it's contradictory. So
especially in the Catholic faith, they don't know. I mean, I don't know nowadays, but in the early days, it's like no protection whatsoever. We got to have as many kids as possible.
Well, and in Christianity in general, that procreation was strictly to marriage. Like you weren't supposed to do anything until
before marriage. Yeah.
So
but it is funny that she's like, it's practical, but apparently it's evil.
Yeah. So now all the kids are back indoors. We get one last Itchy and Scratchy episode.
Yep. And their kids are happy. They're back to their daily routine. And I notice, if you notice, Maggie's not in the room anymore.
But no, because I watched the episode, Maggie picks up a dart gun and shoots Homer's picture.
But I don't think she wasn't physically in the room watching that last episode.
She had to have been.
Was she?
She had to have been if she's imitating it.
Oh, I guess so. I guess we don't see her on camera.
No, we don't see her on camera, but I bet she's in the room because she picks up a dart gun and shoots Homer in the head.
They never learned.
Well, a picture of Homer in the head.
Yep. And so to close out the episode, Homer and Marge are at the Springfield Museum where literally no one is.
Yep.
To go see the David. And Homer, makes a joke. So, "Oh, this is great. I like being here." And Marge's like, "Oh, I just wish the kids could see." And Homer's like, "The kids are being forced to go see David on a field trip."
Sure. Now, here's the thing, though. With field trips, a parent could say, "No, my kid's not going to go see this."
Nope. They would have to get a permission. Well, any field trip for any school, doesn't matter where you're going, zoo, museum, anything. You get a permission slip signed by your parents. So
they wouldn't necessarily be forced. Now, they are doing a field trip. And usually with field trips, if there's kids who can't go or don't get their permission slip signed in time, there's always like a teacher that stays back at the school anyways.
Yes, for all the kids that don't get the permission slip signed.
Yes. So final thoughts.
Well, I do love Itchy blowing up Scratchy on numerous times.
Yes.
I love this episode because it's the only episode, I think, across the board where we get to see multiple episodes of Itchy and Scratchy.
Yep.
It highlights something in the 90s that I know we went through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This was kind of the initial. I don't know, honestly, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, if parents had this much input in violence on TV. I don't think they did.
I have no idea.
But in the 90s, it was hit pretty hard. It was like kids were doing stupid things because of things they saw on TV, with video games.
Yeah.
And it was a really cool introduction to say, okay, you know what? This is what can happen. But I think there is a really big moral to this story saying, you know what? Watch what your kids are watching on TV.
Mm-hmm.
and go out there and make sure it happens. It's definitely not one of my favorite episodes, so I'm just going to go with a 4 sprinkles.
To piggyback off you, I really like this episode. I enjoy South Park, and a lot of their new stuff is social commentary, and this is one of the few Simpsons episodes that they've made where they actually do social commentary. I don't know why they chose this time and this place to do it, but it sends a very good message to parents. Hey, watch what your kids are watching and be mindful of what they're watching, because it's really your fault. It's not the kids' faults, and it's not the TV network's faults for putting out shows like Itchy and Scratchy. That's the content they made, and it's up to the parents to do their due diligence and do their research, like Marge did. She did her research, and she found the show was very violent, and she should have known that beforehand. To be fair,
exactly.
So, and I really enjoy social commentary episodes because I find them fascinating. I'm gonna go with a 5. Everything's coming up Millhouse, because to be honest, this episode's really good. The jokes land. I love the protest signs. Those are amazing. The Psycho reference is really good. I think it's a very well-rounded episode, and it's a social commentary episode, which I thoroughly enjoy those. So I'm gonna go with a 5. Everything's coming up Millhouse.
And lastly, if you have a 1-year-old at home, don't leave them by themselves anywhere in your home. Homes are dangerous. Don't leave them anywhere.
As the Lonely Island taught us, couches and furniture are killing machines.
Exactly. All right, so we'll finish up. I like it. All right, we'll finish up with our character profile for Roger Myers.
Nice.
So his profession is chairman of Itchy and Scratchy International, which we actually learn later on that there is a Paris. So we do learn that Itchy and Scratchy is indeed a national brand.
So is Itchy and Scratchy kind of like a Mickey Mouse kind of organization?
I would go down that road and say yes, but it is weird that they're only airing whatever 5-minute cartoons
it's really
on
odd.
Krusty the Clown.
It is odd.
I mean, we will learn in the future they do make a movie, but
yes,
it is funny that it's just 5-minute episodes on a clown show with other skits and stuff like that.
Well, it's like Bozo the Clown.
It is. So I don't know how this is an international company. That I really don't know.
Nope.
All right. So occupation: arrogant purveyor of senseless cartoon violence. I would agree with that. Yep. Enjoys belittling the writing staff, particularly those who graduated from Harvard. Don't know why any writing staff would
go to Harvard. That's a really specific thing, because I feel that most journalists and anybody in like a Hollywood type, you're going to a performance school or a school that teaches like what I did. I went to university here in Wisconsin, not Madison. And I learned communication skills, and I translated that into television because that's what I went to school for.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't get why maybe he wishes he went to Harvard and did it.
It's
like
possible.
Harvard Business School and didn't get accepted.
Possibly.
Believes one protester cannot make a difference, no matter how big a screwball she is.
Wrong.
Yep. And then hates being called a sleaze merchant, but does not necessarily deny it either.
What is a sleaze merchant? Is that just a merchant who's sleazy and overprices things?
Exactly. Well, look at all the Itchy and Scratchy merchandise. This stuff is really expensive.
Yeah, sure is.
So that was our Itchy and Scratchy and Marge episode. It was fun. We learned a lot.
We did.
I feel like this entire episode was like a PSA.
It was. It was.
All right. I hope you enjoyed our after-school special PSA episode of The Simpsons Did It.
Yes.
So until next time, I'm Steven Sklansky.
I'm Robert Sklansky.
And this has been The Simpsons Did It.
Shh.